What is going on, everybody? This is the Call ATM show, and today we have breaking news. Most people are saying that the fatal shooting by ICE of Renee Good was not justified. That is a university poll that found that 53% of voters believe that it was not justified, y'all. That it went a little bit too far in Minneapolis. So we're about to react to a news clip right now. Roll the clip.
Call ATM, call ATM, call ATM, call ATM, call ATM.
And Greenland. A Quinnipiac poll shows just over half of registered voters say the federal immigration agent shooting of Renee Good was not justified, while 35% say it was. The same poll shows 57% of voters disapprove of how ICE is enforcing immigration laws, and 58% disapprove of how Trump is handling immigration. ABC News political director Avery Harper's here for more on that. So, Avery, what do you make of these numbers, and what do they mean for President Trump's decision on whether or not to try to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis?
Right. I do think that these numbers signal that immigration enforcement is a political flashpoint, and it does show that there's some discontent in the way that ICE is handling these enforcement actions and the way the Trump administration is handling these enforcement actions altogether. That said, when you drill down into those numbers and you look specifically at Trump supporters and Republicans, they are still with Trump when it comes to this issue. So unless that changes, I don't see the Trump administration considering public opinion when it comes to invoking the Insurrection Act.
Well, holy shit, y'all. Like, that is absolutely insane. So just to catch everybody up a little bit on this, obviously ICE shot Renee Good after she allegedly hit one of the ICE officers with her car after she was allegedly impeding their investigation. And so we're going to bring it to Xavier here. How do you feel about what we just watched?
Personally, I think that the shooting was justified in the light of how law enforcement officers act. But personally and morally, I think it was wrong. The officer could have definitely stepped out of the way and not been in front of the vehicle. But how law enforcement works in the United States is justified, so we just have to accept that fact.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I think you said it extremely well, because, like, taking somebody's life is never, ever going to be the first resort. I mean, obviously, she did not have a gun. She wasn't doing anything like that, but she was in the way of the investigation, and like they're set out to do a specific job. So like, I think you said it, you hit the hammer on the nail, morally bad, but legally, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. How do you feel, Ty?
I would agree with Xavier. If I were to see an old lady getting pulled over on the side of the road and I stopped and went and interfered with that, I would be putting myself at risk one way or another, whether that's physical, under the court of law, like interfering with any sort of government entity, like you're putting yourself at risk, regardless of how dire the consequences could be.
And it's the feds too. These are not just regular police. Like, this is the feds. Like, these are the big boys. How do you feel, Christian? Here it comes.
The thing is, at what point do you see what's happening and say, you're going a little bit too far, we need to step in and do something about it? Because as you've seen, over half of the American people do not agree with the way they're going about it. They were deporting more people than they are right now, with none of it being noticed. Right now, you're seeing a lot of people get questioned about their legal status here in America by door-to-door knocking, or just them casually walking by and asking people, instead of it being more targeted towards people who are actually here illegally. So it's like, when you're questioning these people, are you questioning them because of the color of their skin, their accents, or what is making you approach individuals and asking them if they're actually here legally?
I mean, you did bring up that point the last time, and we had a good little back and forth about it. And so where I'm coming from is, like, these people are set out to do a job, and like, I just hate that we're even in this position as a country. Like, this all should have been nipped in the butt like a long time ago, but we're still dealing with it today. And now we're kind of at like the precipice of the reaction, right? Because now it's a hot button issue. I mean, every person and their mom has an opinion on this.
Oh yeah.
And where I'm coming from is, we've seen a lot of people like raising like, oh, like defund the police, like abolish ICE, like let's get rid of it's these institutions that are the problem. Where I'm coming from, this is all Congress's fault. Like, if we didn't have a bunch of old bag of bones in there who are just making money off of their stocks, Nancy Pelosi, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that, like, it just blows my mind that this is now becoming, you know, spilling into like the everyday person's life.
The craziest part is everybody who was in position of power when all the people were coming in are still in power besides one person. Maybe two, actually. The president and vice president. Everybody below them was allowing all these people to come through. Now you only have a change of position in the presidency and the vice presidency, and everybody else still is. First, they allowed them to come in. Now they're.
I got to call you out on that because that's not true. Because the leader of the FBI when Biden was in force was James Comey. Now that is not James Comey. The entire administration is completely flipped. So also, when Biden was in control,
Didn't James Comey come in during the Trump administration though?
the first Trump administration, he was already in place.
Right.
Not the second. Not now. He's been replaced obviously because, you know, all the Russiagate stuff where he went in front of Congress and swore to the Bible that Trump was a Russian asset and that whole Russia hoax. My point before you just distracted me a second ago was that also in the House of Representatives, you know, whoever has the majority, it starts to make the different laws and stuff. And so now it's been flipped to Republican when before it was Democrat. So there's been a lot of changes with this administration. But what I'm saying is like, and this mainly is for you, this mainly is for you. How on earth was it morally justified to let all of those undocumented people come here knowing that this was probably going to be the reaction that happens next?
That was incredibly wrong. Like, just the amount of people that they were allowing in, you have to do something. You had people from all sorts of countries, not even just from Mexico. They're coming in through the southern border.
We already talked
But
about
they were,
China,
like-
you know, Vietnam, all
Exactly.
like not just Mexicans, like all sorts of
Mhm.
brown people.
And our government was assisting them to get in here, giving them legal status, giving them benefits. And now the same government is flipping the script and then trying to ship them out. It's crazy how the same government is doing two different things.
Same government powers, but different people. Because I think if you asked an everyday average American, like we typically would like everybody to be held to the same standard. Because I do see people, the biggest concern I see is like when people say they're ripping people's families apart. But like if I decided to drink an entire bottle of freaking, you know, Casamigos and I had my little girl or little boy in the back and I'm driving and I get pulled over by the cops, what's gonna happen? They're gonna take me away, put me in prison or jail, and they're gonna fucking take away my child, right? So that it does happen to Americans, and it is so sad. And like, I just wish none of this was happening because I feel like all of us have the unfortunate experience of being in our primes as far as our age goes and dealing with one of the hardest times for this country to stay unified, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like,
I just think this is the way that the whole immigration thing right now is taking place. I think it's just wrong how it's done. I feel like there's over 11 million undocumented people in the United States, and trying to go and use ICE to take them all out is directly impossible. You can't deport 11 million people. It would take billions of dollars, tons of resources. So I feel like there should be a better way of trying to handle the immigration policy instead of trying to use ICE to kind of go rip people out of their homes. You know, that's just my take on that.
no, you're not wrong. You know, and it sucks too because we all know I love Latino women. We know that's a fact, right? You know what I'm saying? I do my little thing, but like, I just want to see America come together. I'm tired of
Absolutely.
all of this division. I'm tired of left and right and blah, blah, blah. And just so that you guys know, all of us lean way more in the center than we do left or right. You know, I just feel like we're going to inherit all of these problems. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we're right at that age group where these decisions that these people are making directly affect people like us, business
Exactly.
owners, you know, like when with taxes and like, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but go try to buy a house these days. Doesn't matter which state it's in. You have to have freaking 50 or 60 times the amount of money our grandparents did. Right. And a lot of people on the right, they're blaming, you know, undocumented immigrants for taking up like all the homes and stuff like that, which I think is obviously not all the way correct. I think everything has a tiny bit of truth, but it gets magnified when we start to politicize things.
Exactly.
And so,
Oh yeah.
you know, I don't know. I feel like you really just kind of summed it up in the first few seconds. Like, morally speaking,
Mm-hmm.
it would be very hard for me to be the one to have to be that ICE officer and to take her life for that. But like legally speaking, if we don't like that, I mean, that's on Congress, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're the ones who have to change these sort of laws because right now, ICE is a bloodhound who's been let off the leash, when they have a
Definitely.
dedicated mission. And you guys know they're hiring like crazy right now, too,
Oh
right?
Yeah.
big
Big-
old
yep.
bonuses.
Yeah, big old bonus.
Massive
$50,000 signing bonus for 2 years for be an ICE officer. So you sign 2 years to be an ICE officer to get $50,000 bonus, which is kind of crazy.
It's a big incentive, right? And then, but we have to also think about that, right? If they're mass hiring people, what does that training look like?
It's horrible. To be a law enforcement officer, you normally have to go through a 6 month of training. It's very rigorous. For being an ICE officer right now, it's a short academy, especially with the law enforcement, federal across the United States. I feel like they're just kind of, the whole thing is just messed up. Poorly trained, poorly, managed, everything.
So are you kind of in the opinion that maybe the Democrats are a little bit more correct in saying that ICE is not as trained, like they're very untrained and maybe unmanaged properly?
Yes. Yep, exactly. Because you think about any law enforcement agency, for instance, Utah Highway Patrol, 6 months academy, extreme training. Of course, at ICE, 4 weeks of training, something like that, and they're out on the road with like badges and guns and masks. No, especially with federal law enforcement powers like that. No, I don't think that's, yeah.
Because you can maybe speak on this a little bit better than we can, but what is like the main difference in like legally what a federal agent can do versus what maybe like a local or state law enforcement agency can do? Do you know the difference in powers?
Well, yeah, usually state law enforcement, they handle mostly like, they respond to calls like emergency calls like 911 and things like that. Federal law enforcement doesn't respond to any of that. Most of their stuff they respond to is pretty much they have like assignments and tasks. They don't respond to no 911 calls. They can't go break up fights. They only kind of handle federal stuff. So
what I'm trying to say though is like, does a federal agent have is their leash not as tight when it comes to like legal shootings and things like that, right? Like, do they have I don't even know how I'm trying to ask this question. Like, do they have the ability to pull their gun out and do more things than a normal cop would?
No, the use of force is the same across all law
enforcement. Use of force is
enforcement.
what I was trying to say. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
the same across all law enforcement.
That's unilateral.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you look at any YouTube video, they have a YouTube channel called Police Activity, and they have tons of videos of people nearing to run down police officers, and they're shooting and killing those people as well. So this is not a new thing. This happens across law enforcement across the United States as well. The only reason this is publicized is because of what's going on with ICE and everything. But this is not new. Law enforcement across the country is trained that if you feel that you're threatened, your life is in danger, you got to take, force against that. And, that officer, I guess, thought that his life was in danger. You saw the video from his view, and that was your perspective, how you want to take it. But
Vehicles are considered a deadly weapon.
yeah.
Yeah. I did see a clip, and I think I brought this up last time, but there was a doctor who posted that after that ICE agent got finished with that shooting and got taken away, he did go to the doctor and he did have internal bleeding.
I saw that.
But I'm wondering, like, how can you have internal bleeding if you were not hit by a car? So he must have been hit, right? Because the doctor...
Oh, yeah. You can see in the video that he did get hit. It wasn't too much, but it was actually hit. It did hit. Absolutely.
It was enough to, to clear him for the deadly force. He was right in danger, so he was justified for shooting.
How fast do you really have to be going in order to cause internal bleeding in somebody, though? Is it not very
15
much?
miles an hour is more than enough.
Really?
Yeah, you don't gotta go fast. You got a big old vehicle over 1,000 pounds.
This is what, a Honda Pilot?
It was a big SUV, right?
Yeah.
But my whole thing is also, like, how do you think her wife is feeling? Because she was in a LGBTQ relationship, right? Like, her wife was the one telling her, "Go, baby, go, go, go." Like, do you think that she's maybe regretting some of those decisions now, like looking back on trying to repair her family after that devastating loss of her wife?
I don't even think she sees it in the form of her regretting anything that she's done, but only shifting the blame towards the people that done wrong towards her and her loved ones. Because a lot of times once you're the victim, you're just in that victim mindset, like they did me wrong. You don't look at what you could have done to avoid it because you didn't have to be there. You could have protested it in a more peaceful manner. You didn't have to be obstructing the roadway and parking your car in the middle of the road. You could have been still protesting, showing what you're there for, trying to pave the right way to do things in a better manner, but just parking your car in the middle of the road.
She technically could have been interfering with a police investigation and getting arrested for that.
Oh, yeah.
Blocking the roadway.
That's exactly what was happening.
Like,
she was intentionally trying to interfere with an investigation. She was told to stop. She didn't want to stop because she realized she was going to get arrested at that point, try to get away. And I don't think she intentionally tried to run the guy over, but she accidentally did hit him.
Mhm.
And that's the only reason she lost her life.
Yeah.
Do you guys think this would have been as publicized if it wasn't a lesbian couple?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, bro. White lady gets shot by cops. Oh yeah. Which is my point that I wanted to bring up, right? Why don't we see like African Americans, Latinos, Chinese people? Why don't we ever see them doing shit like this? Why is it always like Caucasian people, specifically perhaps maybe even Caucasian women?
I mean, I see a lot of brown people on the news.
I think,
But yes, you do, right? But do you see any of them sitting in their car honking, following ICE around, like the same situation that she did? Why don't we see more people who look like us doing those things?
the
Do you think it's
strange
because
thing is-
we know better,
Oh, it
or
would be fucking shot
When I
outside.
see those videos, it's mainly liberal people, blue hair, green hair, or like those hard right, left wing people that are protesting. They actually are out there more than black people, Mexican people. Like, we're trying to be safe. We know the consequences of our actions.
yeah, and that's what I'm trying to come from. So the way I'm almost looking at it is like, was she trying to exercise her white privilege, and it backfired? Like, was that
when being a Karen goes wrong?
Or that, yeah. I mean, it's funny, but this is a sad situation. But that is funny. But yeah, that's kind of like my perspective, because and by the way, this poll that we just listened to, these are only registered voters. So this is not how all of America feels. These are people who got sent a census and then filled that out. And of the people who filled that out, this is the amount of people who felt this certain way. So just to be clear for the people watching this. But it definitely a tough situation. And I just want to reiterate for all the people watching us, like our heart goes out for their kids. Because at the end of the day, I feel like the kids are truly the people who are going to suffer here.
Absolutely.
Growing up without a mom. I also saw a video where her father is a diehard Trump supporter. And he actually reacted to one of those clips where, the father reached out and was like, hey, like, this fucking sucks. Like, I lost my daughter. And, you can see kind of, even as hard as it is to imagine, like, you can see it in Trump's face that he kind of had that sense of remorse where he was like, as a father, you gotta be sad. It doesn't matter if your kids make a dumb
You don't
decision.
ever want to see something like that happen.
Yeah.
Never.
And it was just, it's honestly brutal. But yeah, I definitely want to just let you guys know, like, our heart, as much as we talk about this, like, our heart does go out to the family. We don't want to see stuff like this happen again, which is why our main message on this show is Congress is the one who makes the laws. If we don't like things that are happening, do not go out and protest. In that manner, like, don't be violent towards
Definitely
police.
protest, but do it.
exactly. And also keep in the back of your mind that law enforcement officers, they have a stressful job. And if you stand in the front, if you stand in front of a car, I'm sorry. If a cop is standing in front of your car and you drive towards them, they're going to shoot you.
Mm-hmm.
Majority, if you see it go on YouTube, it happens all the time.
If you're
So-
scaring them and you're making them fear for their life, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, they
so-
want to make it back to their family. And also, you have no idea what that officer or federal agent deals with on a daily basis. Like, all the stuff they're trained on, where they have to watch horror stories of their comrades and fellow coworkers getting, assassinated and shot and stabbed. And it's a rough thing to probably experience, which I think the average person who's at these protests, like, they don't really consider that, right? I just want more human decency in the world. Like, I want us as Americans to stop trying to initiate change by being vigilantes. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
That's true.
if you really want to do something, like, we all have to get into the politics and actually make the laws that change stuff. Stop all of this fraud that's happening all over the place. Because I think that's a big issue that's like kind of the unspoken truth about all of politics. Is, like,
Exactly.
these motherfuckers get rich because they, you know what I'm saying? They
Put
slide-
money into it.
Yeah, so, I mean, just long story short, it's a sad situation all around. But, it's up for you guys to decide in the comments. Our last video on this did pretty well. And so you guys just let us know. I mean, are you guys in favor of, what happened with ICE? Or do you think maybe they should be abolished? Which is a kind of a great segue. I mean, does anybody on this panel think that ICE should be abolished?
No,
Absolutely
definitely
not.
not. Definitely
No.
not.
Wait, time out. What about the police?
No.
No.
Heck no.
Hell no, right?
Things should be more regulated, but definitely not abolished.
I feel like how ICE is being used right now, they're trying to target all immigrants. I feel like it should just be the ones with the violent crimes, the ones that are here just working and doing everyday jobs. I feel like there should be another way of giving them some sort of pathway to becoming a citizen instead of trying to rip them out of the homes. But some guy that is cleaning cars or something like that and they have no criminal record, ripping him out of that, there's no point of that. You know, I feel like someone who has a criminal record, committing crimes, that person should be reviewed and deported if it comes down to that reason. But I feel like just against everyone, I think that's just where it's messing up at.
And he brought this point up the last one, so I want to get your perspective on this. So where I was coming from is, to the best of my knowledge, like the undocumented immigrant community, a lot of them, they'll hang together, right? Or they'll be together because, birds of a feather kind of flock together, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if one of them has a criminal record and they go into a building, and let's say it's a bunch of people washing cars, and one of them was committed, murder at DUI or some sort of illegal activity, do you think that they should just leave the other people who haven't committed a crime, even though they're undocumented, and only take the bad one? Or do you think that they should just get all of them?
Just the bad one. Okay. Honestly, because realistically, you can't deport 11 million plus people.
I mean, they've deported a lot. Do you guys know the updated numbers? Like
even with the updated numbers, it's less than Obama deported.
Trump is less than a year in the office, and he's coming pretty close.
Yeah, but even on no matter how you look at the stats, Obama deported more people than Trump. But the way he did it was more tactical, to where it was just on the hush hush.
Yeah,
it was more criminal rather than just undocumented.
I'm going door to door. I'm asking everybody who might be illegal.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing too. I mean, just crossing into the United States illegally, it's just a misdemeanor. Why, if this is so serious, isn't it a felony?
Felonies are pretty
not sure why they classed it that way, but I know it.
Because basically what they're saying is that coming into the United States as an illegal undocumented immigrant is not as bad as you getting caught drunk driving. It's not as bad as you punching somebody in the face, right? Because that's assault and battery. That's a felony, right? It's not as bad as a lot of things that I'm just confused that
I don't know if it's felony or not.
It's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor.
It's a federal misdemeanor, though.
Which, does that carry more weight than like a state misdemeanor? Because
yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now my question is, let's say somebody comes in through Texas and ends up getting to New York. Is it then a misdemeanor through every state that they go through?
No, just federally across the United States.
Just one time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wild situation, you guys. I mean, fuck. But here's another point. That, literally, first of all, there's been another shooting after Renee Good, right? So they got another person. And the video that I saw that blew my mind was this young kid. He maybe was 21 years old, and he had this giant microphone in his hand. And they were at an ICE detention facility in the same state this happened. And he comes running towards the ICE screaming something. The ICE officer leans back with it's a paintball gun or an aerosol gun and shoots the kid in the face. And it literally removed his eye. He's blind in one eye now.
Yeah.
Because the dude was just running at an ICE officer. And I'm just like, how many more consequences do people have to see before they're like, yeah?
I feel like people just need to understand is leave these law enforcement officers alone. They're scary people. They're going to attack and try to use force against you. Just leave them alone. Just stand back and do your protesting, but approaching them and running towards them and trying to run cars towards them, they're going to shoot you or attack you.
And the thing is, it's like when there's maybe 20 of you versus 1,000 protesters.
Yeah.
As soon as one starts rushing you, you don't know how many are about to start rushing you.
Okay, yeah.
And so maybe he could have shot a little bit lower, but in
like the nuts, you hit him in the nuts.
Yeah, but when it's crunch time and you just gotta shoot or die, you're not oh no, I gotta lay him a little bit lower. You're just shoot first, ask question later. It's
I
know
if
protect yourself at all.
If it was just us right here and we was in charge of guarding something and I saw freaking even 10 people, 5 people running at us, I'm letting it go. I'm letting
pepper guns everywhere.
Yeah, because y'all my brothers, you know what I'm saying? And listen, don't play stupid games if you don't want to win stupid prizes.
Exactly. I during my 9 to 5, bro.
Can y'all imagine clocking into your 9 to 5 and every day your life's threatened?
Yeah.
That's being an ICE agent.
It's a risky job. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next story. Okay. Okay. Next story we have here is going to be. All right. So The United States warns Iran that all options are going to be on the table in an emergency UN meeting. So, for everybody who doesn't know, what's been happening in Iran has been absolutely monumentally crazy. Basically, the Iranian regime, the Islamic regime, I should say, that's now in charge of Iran, these guys only came into power in I think it's like the late 70s or early 70s, and they pushed out the Shah of Iran, right, who was basically the king. The reason why he was pushed out is because he was trying to mark up his oil prices, and the United States and the other countries wasn't having it. So we allowed the Islamic regime to take control, and now shit has hit the fan. So basically Iran turned off all the internet for their entire country and allegedly has killed thousands of protesters. There's mass protests happening in Iran right now where the people are revolting against the government, and they want the Ayatollah out of office. They are sick of it. They're tired of their, and also their currency actually hit zero.
Yeah,
meaning that you can have 1 million of their dollars, whatever they're called, and you can't buy a loaf of bread. Literally, no money in the country. It's all gone to zero because we put so many sanctions on them because they keep on doing dumbass shit, right? And so their people are revolting. How do you guys feel about them allegedly killing all of those protesters?
There's a lot of terrible things going on around the world, and sometimes we just gotta let them figure themselves out and not always be in other people's business.
Exactly. That's how I feel. There's tons of stuff going on around the world.
So the only reason I think that it does affect America at this point is because I feel like we're a global empire. Okay. And I feel like if there's one country, right, like them, which is not, they're a powerful country when they got their shit together.
Yeah.
And then they start lining up with China and Russia and North Korea. Like one, have you guys ever seen A Bug's Life?
Yep.
Remember that scene where he gets up and he's like, one ant is not a problem, and then lets all those nuts fall down and crushes all the other. And he's like, this is what we're dealing with, though. When one rises up, they all rise up. And if all of those countries banded together, the rest of the world might be in trouble because that's all of them have nukes except for Iran, right? It's a big problem. But just on the note of like, how would you feel about the government, us protesting and the government killing allegedly? It's like 3,500 people. Possibly even more by some tolls, and shutting off the internet. I mean, that's insane, isn't it?
Very insane, But, across the United States here, we have tons of issues on our own. And in America, dumping resources into foreign issues where tons of things going on in the United States where people can't afford rent or buy food, and homelessness is on the rise and things like that. We're focused on things that's going on outside the United States, but there's tons of problems internally. It's like, I don't see why we need to intervene unless something was really going on, even though that is a bad issue. I feel like there should be, I feel like we shouldn't always have to step in. I feel like other countries that are superpowers should step in, not the United States all the time, because we're sending billions of dollars across the seas, but can't even send $1 billion across the United States to kind of help our current population.
It's like China saying, oh, you got your veterans on the street. You got too many homeless people. You guys aren't doing things the right way. We're going to take over your government because you're not taking care of your people of poverty. So it's like
valid point.
Any government can say our way is the right way. You're doing things the wrong way. We're going to take you over. And that's pretty much what we're doing to other countries that we don't want other countries to be doing to us.
That's a very valid, well-balanced point. Ty, how do you feel about all this?
They both make great points. Like, we're always the police around the world. Something goes wrong, we're always the first one in, last one's out, and
it's our tax dollars that are funding it. So I think that was a great point you brought up too. Like, for example, I mean, can every viewer on here just imagine what your personal life would look like if we, I don't know, invested all of this money, or even half, or even a quarter, or even a fifth of what we invest in our military into the actual people, fixed all the roads, got subsidized housing under control, because like, I'll be honest, like, luckily all of us are extremely financially literate and we can afford to have homes and nice cars and all of these sort of things, but that's not the everyday person.
Exactly.
Right? Like, the everyday person who's not, and maybe our position is struggling. And I get very sad when I see people that are homeless, especially when they're veterans. And I've always had that question. It's like, why do we not offer these people more help? I mean,
defense, like when people run for office, their main thing is going to try to protect the United States and spend all this money on the military, but the whole country is just like all over the place. It's just crazy how they're managing the money and how they're allocating it across. Yeah, it's just weird to me.
I want a nap that shows me where my tax dollars go. I want to see every dollar spent, where it's going to, what company, how much, all that.
Well, I feel like they don't do that because it would violate what they call national security. Because a lot of some of our money, a majority, can go to like the CIA for other operations that they don't necessarily want to be publicized. Because remember, when they tell us on the news, other countries have the ability to see that and be able to watch that, and it might be a strategic.
See, but we already show how much we spend towards our military. We don't have to disclose what they're doing within the military, but we can see what dollars are going to what places without disclosing what exactly that company is doing.
I agree with you on that, but I think that would revert back to my other point about the massive fraud happening in America. It might, let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, and be like, oh, there's a reason why politicians are only making, 200 grand a year, and all of a sudden in 5 years are multi-millionaires. What's that girl's name? Ilhan Omar, whatever. That's the perfect example.
Elizabeth Warren.
That's another good example.
She's a funny girl.
That's another good. What did you say that you thought she was?
The way she was talking to that reporter, she was like, "You must be something wrong with your brain." She's funny. I like the way she kind of like combats with reporters, but that whole thing is going over there. I don't know.
Have you heard anything?
Yeah, the
about
learning
the
centers and all that stuff.
Oh, dude, and they spelled learning wrong and still got $25 million. Is wow.
I think what Trump is doing, trying to attack a whole population of Somalians just because of a few bad apples. I feel like that's wrong. But I do understand what he's doing. But attacking the whole Somalis across the United States when it's just a few bad apples in Minnesota. I don't know. That's not, but.
No, you're right about that. You're right. I do know, or at least I have heard, because I can't say anything for a fact. Everything's allegedly, but out of that fraud scandal that happened in Minnesota, it was like 89% of the fraud was done by those Somalis there. Like 80,
man.
Like it's an overwhelming number where you're just kind of like,
yeah, get them out of there.
shit. And he took it a step further than that. He actually said, and I don't know if this is a law yet, but I do know he tweeted it. He was saying that if you got convicted and you're what's it called, and you get convicted of a crime and you have your citizenship here, but you're from somewhere else, he's taking your citizenship away. Like consequences are getting severe, right?
I agree with that. I feel like if you commit a crime like that and you were awarded a citizenship and you do something like that, we should be there to give the right to take that out and send you back.
Dang, that's oof.
If you're an American citizen, you just get sent to the gulag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild stuff. I had a really good point I was about to say. Fuck. Okay. But yeah, that's some rough stuff. How deep? My complete brain literally. Okay, cut the tape. Let me think really quick. What was I gonna say? Ilhan Omar. We're talking about the fraud. We're talking about.
On to the next one.
No, I don't know if there is a next one. It's all about. Okay, we can do the next one. We're gonna do the next one. Let me just wrap up this sentence here. So,
what's the next one?
We're gonna do Greenland.
Oh,
but yeah. I'm just gonna speak about it. We're not gonna look at a document from it. I'll find one.
That's part of this.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. So yeah, I mean, long story short. So long story short, man, I feel like that politicians are the ones who ultimately make the laws. I just hope that our country can come together more and stop being so divisive because it's wild. All right, so for our final story, I want to talk about Trump putting the hammer of God down on the country of Denmark and the UN about Greenland. How do y'all feel about us, like, really not just talking about it, but actually making attempts to take over Greenland?
Didn't Putin say that if we do take Greenland, then it's basically there's going to be some sort of retaliation?
Yeah, but ask yourself why. If he did say that allegedly, does that validate Trump's point that if we don't do it, that Russia is going to do that?
Well, you have Alaska. You can see Russia from Alaska.
But the wrong side of Russia, though, because remember, Greenland faces the other side of Russia where all their submarines and military bases are. Because the ones next to Alaska, that's closer to Siberia, right? That's way off in the woods.
And it's one thing if you can attack them from one front versus having two different fronts that you're able to tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we're in 2026. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if Russia wanted to do something, it would have done a long time ago. I don't know. I feel like this is just another, political move for Trump. Focusing on other things rather than the country itself and what us everyday ordinary citizens are going through. He just trying to focus on other things, and people in America are suffering through multiple problems, can't afford groceries and this and that. He wants to focus on taking over countries and doing this and that. I don't know. I just feel like he's just, just his mind is somewhere else and he's not focusing on the country that elected him.
Yeah, we
personally.
need to take that inflation way down.
Yeah.
But not one man can do everything. When we have a bunch of bad presidents or a bunch of presidents that maybe that's not their focus and shit just kind of leads up. But hold on, I want to finish my other point really quickly here. So I don't think you're giving Putin enough credit, because when the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s, their country literally shattered, right? They lost Ukraine, Bulgaria, parts of Romania, right? Like all sorts of stuff, which is a huge cut to their GDP, right? Then you had the successor of Putin, who was kind of wishy-washy, right? He did okay, started to build back, and then when Putin got into the power, bro, son, their country has made leaps and bounds, and he's been the president since like 2000.
Yeah.
And so the perspective you may be missing is that you said if Russia wanted it, they would have done it. But my thing is, I think they're leading up to that. I think they're tired of America's shit. I think they're tired of the UN shit, with the whole Ukraine thing happening and us encroaching on their territory. That now they're like, all right, roll up the sleeves and like, we're done playing games. Like, Russia's going to stay an independent country. We don't want to be a part of the UN. We don't want to be a part of the West. Like, we want to be independent. And so I think that if we don't, honestly, because basically where I'm coming from is without America, the UN is nothing. They have absolutely nothing, right? They can't defend themselves. They can't do anything anymore, right? All of those empires are now, right? And they're not even paying any money. We're paying money to protect
the majority
them.
of it.
Yeah, more than like over half of what it takes.
Oh, yeah.
Like and then if, for example, I think that, like I said last time, I think Denmark gave up in World War II after like 4 hours. Like 4 hours of fight. Okay, we're done. Right? And so it's because of America that stuff like that can't happen to them. And what are they doing with Greenland? We're trying to build a golden dome, which is overall protection, kind of like the stuff that we have in the Middle East for certain countries. And without Greenland, the meets and bounds won't line up properly for us to have an early warning system in case one of these other countries launches an ICBM or a nuke at us. If the closest, detection system is in Hawaii or it's in, freaking, what's that country at the top, or the state at the top of America? Is it Maine? Maine,
yeah.
Right? We're losing a massive amount of time to be able to react. And when somebody launches, a nuke, bruh, 5 minutes.
Well, I feel like America has so much advanced technology with satellites all across space. They could stick a beam down and see anyone moving in any country. I feel like this is another ploy. We have so much advanced technology to do pretty much anything. Planes that hover over the stratosphere, looking down at the countries. It's just like, this is just another way of I feel like the government just trying to say that we're the best and we're trying to defend. But I feel like we have enough technology to be able to see if Russia is going to do something like they were doing North Korea when they were like kind of testing their bombs and things like that. They were able to see that stuff from the United States. So I feel like this is just another tactic that the administration is trying to do to say that we're powerful and we're doing everything our best to protect America when we have all this technology already in place to kind of help protect us already. But I don't know.
That's a good point. It's a good point. So, I mean, is anybody overlooking how great skiing and snowboarding will be if we get Greenland, though?
Hey, Utah, greatest snow in the world.
We got Park City.
Yeah, we got Park City. We gotta have Greenland though. You know what I'm saying? We could be sliding on sled dog. Yo, the wildest stuff I seen him post was he was like, "Do you realize that all that's defending your country is 2 sled dogs?" I literally almost spit out my coffee. Like, he is funny.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to
y'all.
He's funny as shit. Like the tweet.
Trump?
Yeah, he said the only thing protecting your country is 2 sled dogs. We could have it if we wanted, but you guys are gonna give it to us. Like, I was like, brother, yo.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that motherfucker funny. I ain't gonna lie.
Ain't no whole, yeah, man. I just imagine what it's like arguing with that man if he's your dad or like someone in your family.
And then
like,
he just goes roasting you.
Exactly. It makes you laugh in the process. You're like, fuck, this nigga's got a point.
No facts.
But yeah, I mean, Pat, we didn't even ask you. How do you feel about us getting Greenland and having good snowboarding?
Snowboarding. Yeah, especially with Russia being like completely opposed to it. Because that's the last thing we need is a war between us and Russia again.
We never
That's-
fought Russia before, but we would dominate.
Fought Russia in World War II.
No, we didn't. Russia was on our side.
The last half of it when you betrayed Hitler. Russia's the only reason we won
Yeah.
World War II. Like if Russia didn't betray.
But remember, America
Germany.
wasn't involved in the war. So America personally has never fought Russia because we only got into World War II because of Pearl Harbor. And then our version of it was mainly against Japan. Right? So we mainly had to go up there. And,
Well,
that's why we got
joined-
sushi in
We
America.
joined the Allies against the Axis.
Yeah.
We would have we would have eventually
Yeah.
fought Russia.
But they got scared. Yeah.
Hitler just kind of wanted to take over Russia.
Mm.
Just schmoozed Hitler and
Which
Germany, but
I don't know why. That place seems cold as fuck.
yeah,
Like-
bro, that's
Russia?
Have you
Yeah.
like
Have you been to Russia?
Yeah, yeah.
What is it like there? Like,
It's
Cold.
it's cold. The people are cold, but it's a cool place though. It is, like pretty much the ordinary citizens are kind of like us. They don't really care what's going on over there. They're kind of just like us. It's really just the governments fighting against each other, and us and all the ordinary citizens here in the United States and Russia have to deal
Just
with the
living
government's
their life and shit.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's just they seem pretty cool. It's a different mentality of how people operate, but at the end of the day, they care about their own values. But the governments are fighting against each other, so us citizens have to deal with it. But I liked it though for the most part. Well, I ain't gonna lie, their bathrooms at the airport sucked. It was like smell like piss and everything, dude. Y'all gotta clean the bathrooms at the airport in Russia. But
Yeah.
other than that was cool.
because you've traveled to so many different places and countries.
Yeah.
You actually lived in Romania.
Yeah, I
right?
lived in Romania for like 3 years. They are still recovering from the collapse of the Soviet Union. You know,
Really?
yeah, from the what's the dictator Ceausescu when he fallen, and they just still haven't really recovered yet. But it's a great country, and I feel like they have a lot of things there. But they also have a lot of people going over to London and scamming and pickpocketing people. So but
So they got the same. So London has the same problems that kind of like we have, but just different group of people.
yeah, exactly,
That's wild.
exactly.
So when you're in Romania, did you meet the top G?
Nah. He wasn't there at that time. He didn't get there yet.
He was
Oh,
in the gulag.
Yeah, he
Well, my
wasn't there
question
yet.
is, yo, man, was there other black people out there? You know what I'm saying?
Nah. There was mostly I was like the only black person where I was at in Romania.
Really?
No other American.
Really? Did you
Yeah.
go to like Dracula's crib?
Yep. Over there in Bershov. That's where Dracula's crib is at. I was everywhere. I was Yash, Bucharest, everywhere. It's a
Dang.
great place. I
What
was
was
hungry.
What's like the vibes though? Because when we look at like that side of Europe on TV, like the shit look dark and depressing and like gloomy
Yeah.
and like everybody's like pissed off. Is that like what it was like? Or?
No. Everyone loves their life over there. It's just, of course, they want more because how much they make there is low. But they love their life, but they want more because they see how American culture is, what we broadcast across the world. They want that,
Mm.
and they know that that's possible. But where they live at, it's not possible. So that's why people leave their countries to come here because we broadcast across the world what it's like to be an American, fame, fortune, all this stuff. So
They
people
see
want
our
that.
IG reels.
Yeah,
fucking
the
outside partying
Kardashians,
and
all
shit.
that stuff.
they're a second world country.
Yeah.
So they're
Are
really
they?
great.
Yeah, second world, yeah.
Dang. So like the average American, even like the poorest American, may have more money than the poorest.
Yeah, like in Romania, when I was there, the person we was with was a doctor. He was getting paid $1,500 a month, and that was really good.
You said 1,500 a month.
Yeah, and that was really good.
So like what, brother? Whoa.
But they don't have any homeless out there because they're so family.
Well, they have
oriented.
issues with the gypsies. They call them the gypsies. Was most people from the Middle East that coming up there. They're Romanians, but they're mostly from the Middle East. So that's kind of their not to be crazy, but that's kind of people immigrating in Romania. They're the Middle East people.
So
But that's how.
they're the Christians of Romania. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but
I'm
every
just
country
kidding.
has their.
Gotcha.
Oh no, he about to snap back. Oh brother, I'm just playing with you, dog. I'm just
Yeah.
playing.
We love Mexican people. I love Mexico. I feel like they're part of the United States. Honestly, they're helped found the foundation of America. Relies on South America. So
Technically, they are Americans.
yeah,
part
exactly.
of
Yeah,
North America.
South America, North America, all that stuff. So
Just wait 20 years.
yeah, I love
What
Mexico.
what does that mean? What do you mean? Wait 20 years. What does that mean?
Guess
You'll
we'll find
see.
out.
Oh my goodness. Oh my. Oh my. Look at how he's serious too. Yeah, what do you know that we don't know, boy?
Look at how many women are producing children out of the ones that are naturally.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. So yeah, basically start having babies. Whatever start having babies, man. But all right, so everybody, we're gonna do final thoughts here really quick. So out of the topics we discussed today, what is your final message to the people?
Overall, with the current issues going on right now, I would just say this: to stay away from ICE. I know you might have strong emotions towards the way that ICE is conducting their operations across the United States, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're going to still do what they do. I feel like just so you don't get hurt, just stand back from them. That's honestly my take on it. Stand back from any law enforcement officer because they're skittish people like a cat. So they're going to react. So to stand back from them, let them do their thing. You can't stop them. There's thousands of them. Just stand back, let them do their thing, and just voice your opinions in another way. Protest from a distance, not up in their face, because they will slam or shoot you. That's kind of my thoughts.
Dude, he so well said. That's exactly my point too. If you want to win a game, you have to get good at the rules. And so I would just lobby your current congressman, have them go out and do all of the fighting for you. They're the ones who have the power to actually make change. Because as much as we have an American right to protest, it's only going to go a certain amount of time before, the laws actually have to get put in place for our points to be made justified.
Exactly.
So, stay out of the way. Stop doing what you saw Renee Good do. God rest her soul, because it's always going to lead that way. And in a month, I promise you, as sad as this is to say, we'll be talking about something else.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
kind of a life wasted, unfortunately, which I never want to see happen again. Right. And so that's kind of my final message. Love one another. Just understand, if we want the laws to change, vote. Get out and vote in 2028. Make sure that your political candidate, whoever that might be, gets put into office so that things can happen as you want it to in your country. Right? How do you feel?
Yeah, laws exist for a reason. It's the only way that a society like this, a first world country, can function. But at the end of the day, news headlines are news headlines. At the end of the day, the most important thing that I want you all to remember is that whether you're gay, whether you're left, whether you're right, whether you're Romanian, whether you're Russian, American, from Denmark, we're all human. We're all humans experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing right now. So enjoy life while we have it and keep an open mind.
That's true.
One thing to remember is elections can be rigged. Stay within your community. I really love what the Black Panther community is doing right now. They tell you, the ICE agents, they got guns. You got to come out with guns bigger than theirs.
That is not the message you want to pitch to people, brother. Come on.
That doesn't mean you're violent towards them, but it lets them know that you are also there and you're capable of the same violence that they're
We're not.
No,
putting towards
that's
us.
the same, though.
And there's more of us than there are of them.
All right.
So if they're going
time
to
out.
be tyrannical and they're going to try to just
Hold on,
problem
one second,
with that.
One second, bro. Okay, brother, you do not want to pitch that message because you never know how strong of a voice you have, and there may be a young man or a young woman out there who takes your words seriously.
Good.
And what happens, Christian? Let's say that we all revolt against the government. What do you think happens next? We look like which country? A fallen one? Like we want to be Somalia? Want to have no government, no laws, no nothing?
So do you want to be controlled by a government that you completely disagree with?
No, because I would just leave. I would buy a plane ticket as a free United States citizen, and I would leave.
So you will continue leaving and leaving and leaving until what point? At what point do you say enough is enough? At what point do you say, first they come for the black people, Black Lives Matter. Then they come for the Mexicans.
What happened to the Black Lives Matter
Wait,
people? They're all in prison, right? Because of why? Because of fraud and scam. Okay,
yes.
There we go. So,
but first they come for the blacks, then they come for the Mexicans, then they come for other people. But because they aren't your people or you specifically, you're like, I'm going to back off. I'm not going to pay any mind. I'm not going to intervene. But eventually it's going to be you. And by the time it's your turn, everybody's gone because they already took them. And you didn't say anything when they were taking them because it wasn't you. So if you don't stand up when people are being unjustly
oppressed? I don't know.
Oppressed?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Then,
they're getting deported for being illegal,
at one
that's
point-
justified.
Yes, but at the same time, they're going door to door
They haven't come to my door.
Not
Correct.
either.
Correct, but it has been well documented that they are going door to door. It's been well documented that they've also, in Congress, they've approached Naomi, whoever the head of ICE is. They've approached her in
she
Congress that
sucks.
she deported a U.S. veteran,
Mhm.
somebody who's been shot, took a bullet for our country, went to war, Purple Heart soldier,
Yeah, but would they?
and
Christy
he
Nome.
Christy knows from him, yeah.
he got deported when he was an American citizen. Shouldn't have been deported.
Yeah, I saw that. When she
So
got- yeah.
they
Is
are.
that happening once, or is that happening every day?
So the thing is, they are doing things the right way and the wrong way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because they aren't being governed by anybody, they're allowed to do things the wrong way. And that's why people are stepping in. Not because they are just deporting illegals, but the way they are going about it
Sure.
is what's wrong.
So let's say that your message inspires the entire Black Panther Nation and more people who look like us to go out there and face ICE with weapons. What is the result you'd like to see happen? You think ICE is going to go, oh,
That's just
oh
furthering
crap,
the division.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it would
Do you-
further
Hey,
divide.
That's what I'm saying.
So in that
Causes more
scenario would
problems.
be, okay, now you're going to show us a warrant for somebody who's actually doing something wrong versus just patrolling the neighborhood for somebody that's a person of color. You're not going to just be like, oh, you fit the description versus I'm specifically coming for you.
But we looked it up last time. They have to go through a process. When a judge has to sign a warrant for somebody who's missed their court date, meaning that they were already caught and let go and has a deportation order. And that there is a process. It's not like they're like ICE is picking them up and directly saying,
Oh,
you're
brown,
going to
come with me."
Colombia, you're going to Vietnam, they take them.
Yeah.
There's a detention center where they get processed and then they get pushed out. So that way they can't come back and do the same thing.
You're absolutely right in the sense that there's policies and procedures. And yet, even though there are those policies and procedures, in Congress, they've already proved that they've deported a U.S. veteran citizen.
that is
Yeah,
true.
but he's
So
saying-
because-
he's saying a, he's not saying many.
No,
He's
no.
saying one example of this.
Exactly. The reason I'm saying one example is because that's the most high profile example. There are many more studies of this happening, but this is the most predominant one because he fought for our country.
Mhm.
But our processes obviously aren't correct because it didn't show that this
Yeah.
person was a citizen. They
Mhm.
fought for our country, and we still deported them.
No,
Yeah,
I agree.
That is unfortunate. I want to say that no matter the law, there's going to be outliers to that law. Like, we can't eradicate any false accusations of any kind. Like, you can only minimize them. So I get your point for sure, but having 0% of people being wronged-
Casualties.
exactly. You can never have 0 casualties. There's always going to be some degree.
Yeah, because humans are
any
involved and
wrongdoing.
there's human error.
See-
But my whole thing is this, Christian, if people don't like the laws in America and they're American citizens and they feel this strongly, instead of picking up a gun and trying to do vigilante justice, which is going to result in your family losing you in some capacity, buy a ticket and go to another country where you value what they want, like maybe Iran or Venezuela or North Korea. I don't know. I'm
or
just saying-
or vote for a president who is not heavily influenced by donors. You know, a lot of these politicians who vote for who run for presidency, they are giving these false promises. I'm going to deport 11 million people where that isn't possible, and they fund ICE $50 billion more than the FBI, the DEA, all these federal law enforcement agencies. They fund ICE way more than that, and it's impossible to do that. So I feel like if you really want to change America, you need to vote for a president that's more focused on trying to help the American person rather than these impossible tasks that we will never be able to solve.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like these presidents use immigration to influence like how we think across the United States.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
But then again, do we really actually elect our presidents?
Yeah, well, that's getting
No.
into a whole other different topic. My main thing with you, Christian, is like all of us on this panel are leaders. You know, we all have very large influences in our own personal lives and when it comes to our families. We just want to make sure that we're sending a message of hope and positivity to the people watching this, instead of ones of reactive violence. Because we know one thing, violence begets violence in all nature, right? And we all want to make sure we have a morally clean soul. All of us are religious. We all want to know, how we want to treat other human beings. And when we pick up guns and fight violence with violence, it doesn't.
It will never work. You got to.
It always ends tragically. And I personally, I don't want to see anybody else who looks like me go through, watching them have to be murdered on live TV.
Do you think
because
less
of an
people
action.
would die if we were able to show that if you kill one of ours, one of yours will also be
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And there's many case studies where this is, bro. Listen, in Russia they tried to do this, bro. In Russia against what are they called? It's not the czars. Starts with a T. Basically, in Russia, the people revolted. Oh, here's a better example. In Iran, that's happening right now. The people are revolting against the government, and guess what? They're walking out there with ARs and shooting into crowds. Solves nothing. It just more human blood spilled. And that's my only point for you is like, I just hope you preach a message of hope and change versus violence will always beget violence. And always throughout history. Whenever you, like, somebody just walks up and punches you in the face, are you just going to be like, no, you're going to punch them back. Or worse, you're going to defend yourself. So what do you think ICE is going to do, brother? They're going to defend themselves.
Exactly. And if it gets too out of hand, the Trump will then National Guard going to come in, Insurrection Act.
So the point that I'm making is more of you don't initiate the violence, but you let them know if you begin it, it's not going to be just you initiating it. It's not only going to be violence being done on your end. Because if you see somebody on the opposing side also well equipped, but not trying to start any violence, it's going to make you more precautious before you begin
doing your job that the government hired and people hired you to do, which you're following the best of your ability.
Do you think that a government would potentially make citizens of their people do things that they don't want to and promote them doing it just by incentivizing them with $50,000 bonus?
What happened to the cop who killed George Floyd? Where is he? No, time out. Where is he right now?
He's
jail.
unable to get a job. He's
no,
George Floyd?
He's in jail.
Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, he's in jail.
George
right?
Zimmerman?
No.
Oh,
the person who killed George Floyd,
yeah.
the police
Derek
officer
Chauvin.
who sat on his neck, right?
Yep.
And he's in where?
He's in jail.
All right. Why is he in jail?
Because
His tactics
were not what the police wanted him to do, nor morally or legally justified, and what he had consequences. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you is they would discipline their own. There's actually ICE agents who have gone to jail or prison just recently that I also saw for doing some goofy stuff in a retention center. They did some bad stuff and they're in jail. All I'm telling you is don't promote people to go and act with violence. Yes, militias are good. You United States citizens have guns for a reason, and we're supposed to defend this nation against foreign and domestic terrorism. But at the same time, if we all started revolting against the government and then all of a sudden your lights shut off and now you don't have gas or gasoline or ability to feed, your family, you're going to be pissed like, dang, why did we collapse the greatest country on earth because we made a couple of mistakes? Fuck. Now we're Somalia. Now we're fucking...
So do you accept everything that's done by your government so you
I don't
have to...
I don't accept anything
so you don't have
by
to go
anybody,
in those
100%.
situations, or do you at some point say enough is enough?
Enough
And not in the sense of you initiating it, but just saying, if you go too far, I am armed as well. It's not in the sense of you antagonizing them or trying to provoke it, but just letting them know, hey, I'm just here, standing my ground. You are armed. I'm armed as well. I don't want any violence. Let's find a peaceful way to go about this.
In what scenario are you saying this?
Yeah, that's what I'm
so confused. Are you saying that we
go
just stand by an ICE operation with guns and be like, oh, like we also have guns?
Trying to come to a peace agreement versus them knowing that they overpower us regardless of what our peace agreement is trying to be.
And the way that the laws work, what they're doing is technically legal in federal law enforcement.
Not only that,
ability.
More than half of America voted in Trump, and Trump's main point was, I'm going to deport people.
But what we just viewed is more than half of the country against what's actually happening.
Wrong. That was a census for people that fill out. So the people who filled out that census, which is a limited amount of people, not every. Did you get a text message?
Yeah, those
did you fill out
polls are
something?
kind of, you never know where those polls
Wait, no,
come
time out.
from.
But did you fill out any paperwork
No.
saying that? Okay, you didn't, right? So you're an American, right? So am I. I didn't get one. Neither did you.
Me
Neither did you. So
Yeah.
this is a limited scope of people who then agree that it went too far. That's a limited scope, and I believe we have a left-leaning news article and a right-leaning news article.
Yep.
So this is not all of America. This
No,
is a
no
limited
way.
scope of people, and that
No.
percentage was 57%.
I do agree with
That's true.
the meta point that you're saying, though. Like, prove and show that you are capable of violence. Like being a warrior in a garden, not being a gardener in a war.
But
So
you don't think they know that America has the most privately owned weapons in the entire
oh yeah,
world?
no, that's why
Like,
we can't.
so
like, if
what
China
more-
tries to invade us?
Yeah, but like, tell me this though. Do you think that the average ICE agent doesn't know? Oh, people buy guns. Look, I'm in Minneapolis. There's gun stores on almost every block. Like, I assume people will probably have.
Yeah,
guns.
their jobs. I say they have jobs. They still ordinary people like us.
Yeah.
So they know what's going on
Yeah.
across the world. They watch the news.
And also,
They see things.
You're missing a valuable point. How much training do you think the average citizen does? Like, as far as shooting goes, as far as
Not
gun safety. If
Very
they were-
minimal to none.
Okay, now how good do you think the National Guard is?
A lot better.
So
but-
do you think that us as human beings, as citizens, would stand? How long do you think we could stand up against the United
so
States?
with that
military?
point, do you think we should never try to stand up to our government because of that?
Depends on what our government's doing.
I
But,
think that that's a good point.
Yeah.
Depends
like,
on
if
the
our
level of
government's-
tyranny.
If our government's going neighborhood to neighborhood with armored vehicles and they're busting down every door and they're marching in and like going through our fucking house and making sure like if they're breaching the federal law of our constitution, then yeah, we have to revolt. Like our
Yeah.
forefathers literally told us this is our constitution. This is our right as Americans.
But you think- but you
if
know-
this is breached, we need to overthrow this government.
But in the United States, we have classes. We have the lower class, middle class, upper class. The people that are in the upper class, they think that everything is fine.
Oh yeah,
They
they
think
don't
everything
get
is
their
fine.
doors
Us
knocked.
as normal people, we think it's kind of bad, and also with the lower class. But the people that kind of elected Trump in office, they think it's cool. So
because
it's
they don't have any of this going on
Yeah.
in
I
their
don't know.
neighborhoods.
I'd say that people in Kentucky and other people like that are very.
well. Look at the
for-
comments. Look at the comments on some of these posts on whatever. Like they love it. They love the
This is what we
the
voted
shooting. Yeah, this is what we voted for. So there's lots of people who voted for Trump who love everything that's going on.
Yeah, I mean,
So there's a
there are
huge
radicals on-
divide.
There are
There's
radicals
radical-
on
that's
each
fine,
side.
yeah.
Like
I
Yeah,
would agree. I think that's why I pitched us and I told everybody, we're more in the middle, right? We can see things from both points
Yeah,
of view.
we definitely don't want unlimited illegal immigrants coming into the country without us being able to verify if they've done crimes in their home country before they came here. Maybe they're fleeing multiple murders where they originally were born and now they're trying to come here to escape and then continue that bad.
And we definitely don't want any American citizens being shot, killed, murdered,
No,
Absolutely.
rights violated,
gonna happen,
deported. Yeah,
It's going to happen.
because
Yeah.
of human
Yeah.
error. But what
Human
I'm
error.
trying, my meta point to you, because remember we were ending the show when you came up with a great viral clip here, is I just want your message to be a little bit more redefined as far as like what you hope. Because think through your thought process of what happens if we all revolt because of this specific situation. We're gonna get demolished. Our families are gonna miss us. We're not fighting for anything.
I believe if American citizens show up armed and in a non-violent, peaceful manner,
Uh-huh.
then we'll be able to go about this in a more
But you might have the
peaceful-
people who don't think
Yeah,
our way
there's
also
some-
show up as well. Like
Yeah.
we want to defend that.
Yeah.
So you coming to fight for yours, we want to fight for the government. So you'll have people trying to fight you as well
Yes.
on that
See-
front as
see,
well.
and that's where you have guys like the Kyle something.
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse.
When the Black Lives Matter was going on, everybody was championing him, saying,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, you're doing great," and everybody's donating towards him.
Yeah,
but it's
stupid.
bad if we're doing it to protect ourselves.
Do you
but
know-
it was
but do you
okay
know
for
that
him to do
situation?
it to protect.
It's
Time
all
out,
bad.
time out. But do you even know the details of what happened with that case?
Yes, he was protecting his life, and he was only shooting to be able to make sure he didn't die at that moment.
Because what was happening to him?
And he intentionally put himself in that scenario because he wasn't.
Which is what you just told other people to go do.
Right. And in the situation of Kyle, everything was legal and everything was fine. So what's wrong with us doing it?
Because based on your scenario, I could go get a parking ticket and then I could rally half of the nation behind me to say this is unjustified and we all need to go fight because I'm not paying this parking ticket.
But
how
you
does
don't.
the government enforce laws?
You don't shoot anybody unless they're trying to
then
come
why would
for
you
your
tell
life.
people to show up armed?
Yeah, because if there's just one radical in that group,
I'm trying to say, like, why would you do that then? Because like we
if
can
you
be
if you show up with 500 other armed people and you have one radical in that group,
one idiot.
just boom.
It's over.
It's
going to be a game.
Everyone's fault.
Every single human being in that situation is going to get lit up like the 4th of July.
Okay, but the same scenario happens when you have all those unarmed people and that one armed person. You still get tear gas. You still get shot by the non-lethals. You're still getting hurt.
Yeah, but you're not
being
getting mowed down.
a peaceful protester just because of that radical.
What?
So you're still in the line of fire.
Well, police, they have those barricades. If you don't cross those barricades, they won't mace you. Just don't breach their thing. You're cool. You breach, they attack.
Like,
Yep.
just keep your
Don't
distance.
breach,
People
be
don't
cool.
keep their
Exactly.
distance.
I'm curious with what you're actually saying though. Like, are you telling people that they need to arm themselves and go approach the government in a nonviolent way to just show the power?
Yes.
Or are you saying that people should be strong and capable?
No, he already told you yes. So
Okay.
follow up on that point. So like,
So
Well,
that-
it's just showing up peacefully and armed. It's,
to what end though, brother? To what end?
You're
that's-
trying
it's a
trying
terrible
to come
At-
to
at
a
a-
common
at a-
ground.
At an ICE investigation?
No. I'm just curious. What do you think is gonna? Do you think the U.S. government's gonna say, "Oh shit, man, he's got a shotgun. We have ARs that are military grade." Like, what do you think you're gonna intimidate ICE?
That goes from protest to a potential riot.
Some niggas gonna get killed.
A
So-
lot of people.
So it's more in the sense where they're helping avoid situations where they're just going against people who are walking around about their day, going about their life, and they're checking their immigrant status or
Cops won't see it that way.
In Minneapolis.
no.
So in Minneapolis, just recently, there was ICE agents that went to a Mexican restaurant, ate some food. Later that night, they went to that same restaurant and arrested the workers.
Were they illegal?
How would they know?
I
They have
don't
a
because
license.
they had a
So-
court
so-
order. I
well,
don't
no,
like.
no.
I had a court order to go. Like,
Well,
oh,
why-
we just
why-
ate at that restaurant.
wait.
Oh, we didn't know that. Let's go back there and
If
do
you
our
had-
jobs.
If you had a court order for the people that were specifically in there, then there would be no reason for you to sit down and eat their
Unless
meal.
you
But
were
without,
only
wait,
notified after you
Well-
got done eating.
you wouldn't sit down and eat there without
Okay.
detaining them.
Unless you got the court order after you got finished eating.
How would you get a court order for a place that you're eating at?
Yeah, they
to
would. The agents would have
detain
definitely had to went in there, ate some legals here. Let's go get it, whatever like that, and come back. But it also, ICE agents, they have the ability to also, if they believe that you are an immigrant, they can actually come and question you and technically detain you.
Yeah.
Okay,
which
time
is-
out, Rick, because I know he's gonna go with this. If I'm driving and a cop thinks that I'm drunk, right? He doesn't have to have proof. He thinks that I'm drunk. What happens? As
Probably
I'm an
false.
American citizen.
Pulls you over.
Pulls me out of the car, makes me do a breathalyzer test. If I say
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that, I go to jail,
He's
and then they
going
get
to-
a blood
He's
sample.
going to first ask for your license
Yeah.
and
And,
registration.
Yeah.
and
Legal
then
documents.
in that sense,
Is that
Well-
any different than what happens to people who get arrested by ICE?
I-
Hey, are you illegal?
I-
No.
I-
Show me your documentation.
I love
oh,
the
you're not.
I
Then
love
let's-
the point you bring up because there's indicators that help you see if a person may or may not be drunk if they're swerving in and out of lanes. Now, what indicators would there be for a person not being legally here? Maybe they're a person of color.
It's profiling. They are
So
profiling.
even though you're not legally able to do that, that still brings an indicator to your logic side and makes you think,
At the end
let
of
me
the day, they're
question this
profiling.
person.
At the end of the day, a lot of the agents are profiling, whether anyone says it or not. They are profiling. You can't just we all know if you go to a car wash, you see a lot of Hispanic people possibly, cleaning cars. Most likely, they are probably not, legal. That's what kind of they're going off.
You think if they would have went to an Italian restaurant, the same thing would have happened?
No,
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't
I
wanna make
see what you're
assumptions.
saying.
But
If
basically-
90% of all of the illegals that I deported, if I was an ICE agent and I was working as an ICE agent, and 90% of all the illegals that I dealt with were Mexican, if I saw
That's who I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's just
so
like-
It's
Yeah.
just common pattern
basically-
recognition.
Wait.
Yeah,
we're
it is.
basically.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not.
true.
Listen, we're gonna let the people decide because we've all made our arguments here.
That was
so.
a good take,
So
though.
I really want to thank you guys for watching this. Please leave in the comments if you think that Christian is correct, or if you think that Ty is correct, or you like a point that I made, or if you like a point that Xavier made.